Hello there, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba.
I'm John Humphrey.
We are going to talk about some Batman casting stuff, hence my pandering shirt.
That's right, mine too.
Tim Burton. Oh, you made it work.
Uh-huh.
Because he directed Beetlejuice.
Yeah, definitely.
Which has Michael Keaton, who was the star of Birdman.
The RoboCop remake.
RoboCop remake. Paul Dano has been cast as the Riddler, people. We haven't talked about any of the casting at all, other than Pattinson. Well, I put out a poll on our community page on YouTube of should we talk about this Paul Dano news or any of the additional casting. There are channels that whenever there's one bit of casting, they're like, I gotta do a video about it. But I'm like, we really have no real context to go off of here. So far, even right up to Paul Dano, every casting bit has just made me go, that sounds about right. That's a good comics I feel like they can easily do that. You know, there hasn't been a casting choice other than the initial reaction I had by myself at El Pollo Loco to Robert Pattinson being cast, but then going, wait a minute, he's done a lot of great films. No, he can do this.
Yeah.
I quickly got there. Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon just makes a lot of sense to me. Zoe Kravitz, that makes a lot of sense to me. Right down to Paul Dano. I think it was yesterday Jonah Hill had left talks to be in this film. I think he was optioning to play Riddler. This is all movie news talk. None of the actors themselves have come out and spoken about it.
But he's
yet,
a Paul Dano type.
He left it. Apparently Seth Rogen was even being courted at one point to play Penguin. You know,
Okay, that's a choice I would have to chew on.
as much as I like Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen, and you know, Jonah Hill, he does got those Oscar nominations. I think Paul Dano is a better casting fit for someone like Riddler. I just put out a video where I just admitted like I don't really care for the Jim Carrey portrayal of Riddler. I just finished season 3 of Gotham, and the actor who plays Edward Nygma that right there's my cup of tea. And I think if Riddler is the main villain in this story, I think that's great because Matt Reeves has gone on record really talking about how he wants to make this more of a detective story. You know, there's a point where we wanted Deathstroke to be the villain, but that'd be like a cool martial arts combat movie where those two is like an assassin going up against Batman. That'd be awesome. But I think if you wanted to make a solid detective film, make Riddler your main villain because he's all about the crime and he's all about leaving riddles and clues as to solve it yourself and testing Batman's analysis skills. Yeah,
that's the whole allure, as you get to watch a showdown of wit. At this point, if it was just a showdown of brawn, it might be a little underwhelming. And with all the build-up that this is going to be focusing in on the most detective-esque iterations of Batman, that's what makes me excited. And an actor like Paul Dano and the chops that he has, and also just the kind of odd quality that he has to his persona.
He's great at the off-putting, dark, disturbed, nerdy kind of characters.
Yeah,
you know?
It's socially strange, but still he's got this energy about him that really lends itself, I think, to a character like this, where he could have a lot of fun, but still be very dramatically gripping and scary. And
because there's just this appealing yet unsettling quality that he brings. And I think to have him be Riddler is just perfect choice. Physical appearance-wise, maybe not akin to how they've apparently been reshaping him in the comics to be a lot cooler, which I know some people have been saying they're hoping they do that approach with this Riddler. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather just I like the more traditional version of a Riddler kind of character, and I think Paul Dano better suits that material. But Paul Dano is an incredible actor, and I feel like with Jonah Hill, as great of a job as I think he would actually do in delivering this performance, I wonder how much I'd be able to actually see past Jonah Hill and only see Riddler. Where I feel like with Paul Dano, that's not really going to be a problem.
No, I feel like he's the type of actor who can definitely immerse into that to the point where you might still be aware that it's him, but you're not thinking about it in the same way. The prospect of Jonah Hill as a Riddler is kind of distracting to me, although if he wanted to be Penguin, I could see that happen.
I don't think he wants to do that.
No. I just think he could bring that character's qualities in a different way.
Weirdly, as much as all of these casting choices have not, even right down to Pattinson, have not been the most obvious choice. Like Jonah Hill or Josh Gad would be the most obvious of choices for Penguin. These choices have been in the right mark. It's not too artsy. It's not whoa, this is way out of the realm of what we know. And it's not exactly the most obvious either. It's right in the middle where it's that's a perfect fit for something that is not completely predictable. Jessica Chastain as Beverly. I mean, that was great casting. It worked wonderfully.
But I go what you mean. Paul Dano is, I feel like he is the most interesting mark here because Zoe Kravitz, I feel like she's just in the exact right point in time to get cast as Catwoman. It seems to make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then Jeffrey Wright is at a point in his career too where he has a lot more clout and he is taking a bit more of these elder statesman roles, and I feel like having something to chew on like a Jim Gordon where he actually gets to be at odds with the main plot and everything, I feel like that would be a great use of his chops.
Yeah.
This feels like it's being cast like a film.
Yeah,
which is fun to me, which is exciting to me.
I suppose if any one of them is the most surprising to me, is it's been Jeffrey Wright. When we were all speculating about who's going to play Jim Gordon, none of us were really speculating about it being a person of color, specifically the Mexican Latino actor Jeffrey. We just weren't speculating about it. But then when you hear Jeffrey Wright, it's like that doesn't even matter. You're not. It's not. It has nothing to do with that because you see the amount of work I've seen this guy do. My introduction to this guy is actually in the HBO miniseries Angels in America, where he played multiple roles, two very different roles. He's incredible in it, and then it seems like as he's done more work over time, he's often in some type of a political role to a certain degree,
or some kind of highly intellectual, but maybe not the most in power type of role. You think of Westworld, things like that.
But then when you think Jim Gordon, commissioner or lieutenant, detective, whichever stage Gordon's in this point in his life, you're like, Jeffrey Wright easily with the kind of delivery, his look, the glasses. You can just see it.
And I'm excited to see him play a guy. Hopefully play a guy with a lot of authority and who is going to have that kind of oomph.
Yes.
Because I feel like that is a shade that I'm not as used to seeing him get to sink his teeth into.
And with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, one of the comics I grew up the most reading, I love the adaptation, the DC animated movie of Batman Year One. That was the first thing I saw where Selena Kyle was a black woman. Casting a person of color for Catwoman is not a surprise. It's kind of just been ingrained in my head. Even though it's small in Batman Year One, it's one of my favorite portrayals of her. I'm hoping they kind of do something along the lines of that specific take. I don't know if she's going to be full on Catwoman here, because based off this amount of casting, she might just be Selena Kyle in this movie and not Catwoman per se.
I'd be curious, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing about this film too, is I'm sort of expecting maybe at least a couple slight variations or subversions on what we're coming to expect, or what we're coming to expect them to do in the first movie. If this seems like it has more potential for franchise than say Joker, which is probably going to get expanded on.
The reason why I'm kind of curious to see if Zoe Kravitz's character will just be Selena Kyle in this film and not Catwoman is because there's a lot of characters here. The rumor has it that this is taking a lot of inspiration from the Batman comic, The Long Halloween, which is a fantastic comic. Still, it's like, even though there's a pretty decent amount of rogue gallery characters in The Long Halloween, when you're relaunching your Batverse movie, I'm still like,
simplify that a little bit.
Even in the hands of Matt Reeves and everything, I still do have a little bit of that
in anyone's
concern.
hands. I'm always like, please take your time a little bit and don't go too overboard introducing or setting up things. You can nod at stuff if you have to,
but I do want Zoe Kravitz to really stand out. She's in so many things, I rarely remember what she does in those movies, because she's always has this like underserved character. She's always good. I never complain about Zoe Kravitz as an actress, but her characters I tend to kind of forget about.
Maybe that's it, because I go back and forth on her too, because like on the surface I think she's a fine actress, she's got chops, and there's something about most of her performances I haven't been able to connect with personally, and I don't know if that is just in the writing. Like you look at something like Fantastic Beasts 2, which just completely underserves her character even though it thrusts her right at you. So I'm hoping that maybe this can also be a chance for, at least as my movie going goes, for her to really own that role and to leave a big impression on me.
It's like I always remember she's in it.
Exactly.
I just can't really tell you like the defining traits of this character.
But Hollywood loves her.
The role I remember her most in actually is Big Little Lies. I've only seen season 1 of that when it first came out, and she is great in that show too. And a combination of everything I've seen from her all around Big Little Lies, being someone who's a little bit more like sensual presence in Big Little Lies, and then a little tougher characters like the Divergent series or X-Men First Class.
Hell yeah.
Things like that. So yeah, I feel like all the casting for this has been great. It's a good fine line of not the most conventional picks, just right there where you
popular enough and recognizable enough.
It's one of those things where you wouldn't think to cast them, but when you cast them, it makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can see it. This sounds like a pretty good movie.
Yeah, so I think this is gonna be a hell of a film. I'm excited for this. All right, guys. Well, are you excited for Paul Dano to play the Riddler? What are your hopes for this Batman movie? Which casting choice has gotten you the most excited outside of Robert Pattinson? Comment below. You guys can subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. We'll catch you guys soon.